Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at soil formation. We know this is an earth science class, so we typically look at the physical world. But here's an example of where the physical world meets the living world. Soil is a direct product of both physical and chemical weathering of rocks, abiotic parts, non-living parts, as well as organic material coming from once living things. Biologic activities such as decomposition of plants and animals make organic additions and add nutrients to our soils. So collectively, this forms a soil. And we can actually see all of these components, both abiotic, non-living, and biotic, living. The abiotic components, the physical components, have been coming from rocks that have chemically and physically broken down. But as we get closer to the surface, we come into contact with plant and animal activity. We call this biologic activity. These plants and animals die. Microbes and fungi help to chemically break them down through decomposition, adding organic material to the soil. This is what adds nutrients to the soil to support plant life. Over time, through these processes, distinctive layers or soil horizons develop. These horizons have unique chemical characteristics, physical characteristics, and organic content. Generally, the deeper we go, the more physical it is, as it was coming from broken pieces of rocks. And as we get closer to the surface, the more organic it becomes, since biologic activity, plants and animals dying and decaying, add to the organic material of our topsoil. There are many factors that affect this soil formation process, and we're going to talk about two of them: parent material as well as climate. Parent material is where the soil comes from, and as a result, we have two classifications for soils: residual and transported soils. Residual soils form in place. Think of the word resident. You are a resident of Rochester, for example. Residual soils form from the bedrock. The bedrock is the outer crust of the earth. It's that outer shell of rock. When that rock is exposed to the atmosphere over many years, it chemically and physically breaks down. This creates the parent material. This is the rocky substrate or material that forms the basis of the soil. This soil, residual soil, will be very similar to the bedrock it forms on because it's made of the same material. Eventually, organic material, plants and animals, will die and decay, creating biologic activity and organic additions at the surface. Residual soils are different from transported soils. The parent material of transported soils did not form in place. It came from somewhere else. There are certain agents of erosion, for example, that move material across planet Earth. Glaciers, well over 10,000 years ago here in New York, advanced from Canada. In these glaciers was a lot of rock material and soil from other areas, from Canada specifically. When the glacier melted, it let go of all this material in a large deposit that we call glacial till. Rocks, boulders, cobbles, pebbles, sand, silt, in a jumbled mixture of unsorted sediment that did not form here in New York, but rather came from a long ways away to the north. Rivers do the same thing as they transport lots of material downstream. Aside from parent material, it turns out climate influences soil formation. Arid climates, or very dry climates, have very thin soils that are high in mineral content but low in organic matter. That's because arid climates without a lot of precipitation can't support a lot of plant life. Without plant life, you don't have plants and animals dying and decaying, making organic additions to the soil. Furthermore, arid soils typically are highly erodible. Seeing how there's no plants with their deep anchored roots, there's nothing to stabilize the soils from winds and waters running over the surface of them. And so oftentimes arid climates have soils that are very thin because they can't accumulate due to erosion, forces that are moving the sediment away from where they formed. Humid climates, on the other hand, have very thick soils, and they're high in organic matter. Since there's a lot of precipitation, all of that soil moisture can support a lot of plant life. That plant life eventually dies and decays, making a very dark, nutrient-rich soil. And we can see here, this soil is composed of what we call humus, which is partially decomposed plant and animal material, which creates a nice fluffy, light texture, which improves soil conditions. And it's perfect for plant growth. That's it for today, guys. We'll see you soon.